Men, welcome back to the oil pump leak down test. Results are a little bit surprising. This is less than 24 hours after I started this. I thought it would take a week or more, but basically just overnight, pretty much all of the oil leaked out of the funnel and the tube through the oil pump. You can see there's not a lot left in the tube over there. There's oil everywhere. This is the hole that transfers oil up to the engine. The hole with the check ball and the spring down in the bottom of it. It's full of oil, and if the light hits it just right, you could kind of see a little river of oil running down and through here. So the check ball was definitely leaking. There's oil running out of the area where the slot is cut in the top cover. It's welling up out of there, and it's running all down. Well, some of this oil is from the, the transfer hole up here, but most of it, I think, is from this area in here where it's coming up through the rotating sleeve. It's oil, I mean, Jesus, I could see oil has worked its way kind of up the sleeve and is, high up in there. So this thing is leaking a lot. I thought it was going to take, a week or 10 days or whatever for it to seep through there. Hell, this would fill a crankcase up probably, hell, it probably had a half a quart in it, that it's pretty much all leaked out on the ground in less than 24 hours. It'd probably fill your crankcase up in, a week, I'm sure. I haven't touched or disturbed anything here yet. The string here, by the way, I got a bucket underneath it to catch the overflow so it didn't get all over the floor. But I left it undisturbed so you could kind of see, the original source. I've got some ideas. Let's take this apart and see if anything is obvious. Alright, just to roll out the little plate and gasket I made to cover the oil passage on the pump. The gasket, where it was in contact with the surface of the oil pump, is dry. You could actually see a couple of little raised indents where the cork was pressed into the holes in the pump. So that oil all over everything did not come from the plate that was sealing the transfer holes. Okay, you could see at the slot in the breather sleeve oil that had welled up from underneath the sleeve. So a lot of oil was just coming out here and running down the side of the pump. So I feel conclusively that the drive shaft of the breather sleeve was definitely leaking oil up into here, and this is the quickest way that oil could enter the cam cover and the gear chest in there and start filling it up. This is just a hole in the cover plate. It's not a hole into the pump, and of course oil that ran out of here filled that up. Here is the hole that supplies oil to the crankcase, and it was full of oil, and if I hit it at just the right angle, I could see a little river of oil traveling down the pump, and then dribbling off. So this also was leaking. Let's take this apart and see what's gone on the inside here, if anything. Okay, so here's the pump taken apart. There was really nothing remarkable that I saw after I took it apart. The gaskets were all in good shape. Of course, everything was covered with oil. One of the things that concerned me on this pump was that the check ball that goes in here was leaking, as evidenced by oil oozing up through this hole over here. I didn't think I was going to see that, but I did. But on the other hand, this pump literally has been through hell. You can see this big gob of weld on it over here. As I mentioned in the previous video, the threads have been stripped out. Well, I was experimenting with different kinds of weld and the aluminum soldering rods and stuff like that. And at one point I had this hole so fucked up, the only thing I could do was bore it out. And I bored it all the way through to where it comes into the cavity where the gears are. And there's different diameters along the way, and at one of those changes in diameters is where the seat for the ball is located. So when I was remaking this thing, after I aluminum soldered, so to speak, a new insert into here, I had to recut all these diameters and the threads and yada yada yada. So I wasn't surprised really that I did not do a terribly good job on the seat. That really wasn't my focus at the time I was trying to fix the threads. But then once I got the threads fixed, I thought, well, it's time to launch into this whole experiment. But anyway, this whole area in here was cored out. A new core was shoved in there, and it extended to probably about here. Maybe here, I don't remember. But anyway, the end of it was filled with aluminum solder rod, and like I said, I'll get into that later, but not right now. Anyway, so I wasn't really surprised that the seat was jacked up. So earlier today, I took it over to the drill press, and I used my ball welded to the end of a rod, and I lapped the hell out of it. Because of the hell that this particular pump has been through, I did relap the ball seat down in there, and I'll show you how I did it. Usually I just do it by hand a little bit, but you know, since this was so totally jacked up, and I tried to reform the seat geometry with a countersinking tool, and you know, who knows how well that worked. Well, I do know how well it worked. It didn't work well at all because it leaked like a sieve in the experiment. But anyway, I'll show you how I did it this last time. And I did it, and I did achieve success with it. But this is, you know, here's the lapping attachment, and it's just a steel ball, the check ball, welded to a piece of rod, okay? And I smear it up with valve grinding compound. And this particular one, or this particular time, like I said, I usually do it by hand, but this particular time I did it on the drill press, and this is all there is to it. And I did that for a while, I don't know, 3-4 minutes maybe, and you know, with the old adage, some is good, more is better, doing it a little bit more, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And I do kind of roll it around in here so I'm not inflicting, you know, if the ball is not quite round, I'm trying to even it out, even the cutting out by flopping it around in here a little bit. But anyway, that's the idea. I felt I had to do it because that whole inner guts of this thing had been bored out and re-sleeved, so to speak. On a pump that has never had anything radical done to it, I honestly don't think you would need to do this. And you could check this thing and put the crude jokes aside, okay? You could check this thing. You put a plug in this little tiny hole over here because that hole is open to here and is open to here on the back side of the ball. So any pressure or fluid that you put here will evidence as a leak. Then all you got to do is drop the ball in the hole, put your thumb over this hole, and blow on it. Which I'm not going to show you me blowing on it, okay? Just suffice it to say you could blow on it. And when I did that before, I could tell that it was leaking, and I could tell now that it's not leaking. So we're going to repeat this experiment, and we're going to do one other thing. There's a guy on the internet who sells these pumps and these this is called the upper cover in the Harley book, I do believe, and he sells these upper covers, and he has machined them to accept a seal, And it looks like, when I look at his pictures, it looks like he's got some kind of an insert in here into which the seal is pressed. And I think the insert slips in from the back. What I really want to see is a picture of the inside, and his eBay ads don't show the inside. I found this guy a couple of years ago, and because I was looking for an oil pump, and I emailed him back and forth a couple of times about, you know, why did this work? What did he think the theory was? And he was very cagey and not particularly forthcoming, which, you know, I guess I don't blame him. But you know what? I'm here to spill the beans, so to speak. I'm trying to show you why it leaks, how it leaks, and what the fixes are going to be, to just generally share this. I'm not trying to, you know, corner the market on oil pumps, because, you know, I can't do it anyway. But you know, I think a relatively simple machining process is all you need to put this in here. For the prototype one, I'm just going to bore this out a little bit bigger to accept this seal. I'm not worried about putting a retainer on the back side for this one. This is a you know, kind of a prototype thing. It'll never really be installed in an engine, although I think I could. But you know, I'm not planning on it right now. So we're going to go bore this hole a little bigger so I can press this seal in. We're going to put all this shit back together again, and we're going to repeat the oil leak down experiment. Alright, I've got the upper pump cover dialed in on the 4-jaw. Needle barely moves. It's definitely within a couple of thou. So we're going to bore this hole right here out to whatever size it needs to be to get that seal in there. I think I measured it was 0.620. Alright, the seal is about 0.08 of an inch bigger than the hole I'm going to tap it into. It's in there. I told you earlier in the video that I had bored the guts out of this while experimenting with ways to fix the threads over here. And right here, see that little spot right there? That's where my sleeve poked through into the pump gear cavity. So yeah, that's how close it is. Anyway, this replacement sleeve in there is why I think the seat for the ball might be jacked up. And this is also one of the reasons why when I'm done with screwing with this, I'll probably never use it in an engine. Seal is in the lip points towards the gear, so this should be sealed up. The ball should seal up in here, and I'm going to put it back together again. We're going to repeat the experiment. Relap the seat for the ball back behind her, so that should seal up. Here's the test fixture, test setup again. Oil pump way down there. I'm out of dirty used oil. I emptied my bucket yesterday when I was done cleaning up the mess I made from the big spill. So we're going to use a little old Ford ATF and see what happens. Last time had the big oil leak from the uncontained holes. Boy, that's pretty in there, that red, huh? Well, that looks good. Funnel's got about an inch worth in it. Gonna hang this on the screw sticking out of the wall by the window and check on it later. For now, I am out of here. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.